as the drivers head out onto track tonight for the week 2 of the GT Sport Club 100 BUKC series. The whole motorsport world is tinged with a hint of sadness at the more passing of a legend and an icon this weekend. Murray Walker wasn't just a voice, he was the voice of motorsport. His enthusiastic tone was infectious with all, whether you were new to the sport or old. My personal memory is the first weekend that I ever watched F1. Damon Hill had just become world champion and was trying to qualify the Arrows into the Australian Grand Prix the next season. And even though Damon was 2 seconds off the pace in every sector of the lap, finishing over 6 seconds off the pace, Murray's enthusiasm and passion for the sport pushed him to make it sound like it was for pole position, and threw out positivity on what was a dreadful day for Damon trying to qualify that car. And the clip is out there on Twitter for you all to go and see. From 1949 to his last Grand Prix in 2001 in Indianapolis, Murray's words were always to entertain and inform the viewer of how passionate he was about the sport, and hopefully to draw people into the sport and keep the regulars entertained. It continued through PA systems to radios and finally to a TV set, with famous partnerships with James Hunt and Martin Brundle, to name just two. Speaking of Martin Brundle, he featured on Ted Kravitz's notebook at the weekend after testing, and he said one thing about Murray which I think we can all fully believe, whether we've met him or not. Murray was there, out on the circuits, speaking to the drivers, and he never once made it about himself. It was always about them and finding out more about them. Whether he knew that driver or not, he would be trying to find out more information and make the story about the drivers. And the famous Murrayisms, like I've got to stop now because I've got a lump in my throat. The car's on fire. The car's okay, but it's on fire. Things like that were just synonymous with the legend of Murray Walker, where he'd make prophecies that would immediately go wrong. And I am not ashamed to say, when I was growing up watching Formula 1, he was a hero of mine. While others may have had the drivers, Murray was a hero of mine and made me interested in things like commentary. And it was a sad loss to lose him from the paddock in 2001, and it's even sadder to know that he has passed. So the drivers will be out there today showing what racing is all about, and I'm sure if Murray was watching, he'd be getting far more excited than me and far more passionate, but I will try my best. We all, as commentators, look up to him, and we'll never try and replace him. We always want to be our own style and our own commentator. But he is the one who's drawn so many into the sport, and will continue to do so with clips going around social media at the moment and the internet. I don't think it can be just goodbye Murray, but it has to be thank you. You brought a lot to the sport, and you will never be forgotten. That was all about Murray Walker passing at the age of 97. And the drivers in the GT Sport Championship are heading out there now for a little bit of practice before qualifying. and I thank you for sort of allowing me and listening in to my own little tribute to a man who is a complete legend of a sport. Legend can be overused, they say at times, but I don't think it is overused in this statement. He brought so much to the sport. Maybe, to me, maybe he brought more than people like Senna and Prost and Mansell, because Murray was there through a whole 52 years of motorsport, of Formula 1, and coming through our TV sets from when the TV coverage started, to the 2001 Indianapolis Grand Prix. Ironically, we are now on an oval tonight here at Blue Moon Speedway, and it is the Clubmans back out here again. I can see a little bit of lag going on in the lobby, but the drivers are out there practicing at the moment. And a quick apology to Cameron Biggs. I was calling him Briggs all last week, so just get that one out there nice and early. Feel free to send any questions through on the YouTube channel, any comments. I can see the live chat there at the moment, so I can see anybody who's in there. So feel free to put any questions, any support for the drivers, and if you enjoy the stream, please click like and subscribe to the channel for more action. Hopefully there'll be a bit more than just commentary coming to this channel soon, but for now it will stick to the commentary as we watch Cameron and Javier battling down the pit straight. Slipstream all important in this race, but as you can see, everybody will be in the Mazda Roadster car. You can also see Jay Elliott up in third place early on in this practice session. But just to run you through very quickly what happened last week if you weren't with us, the stream is below in the video playlist. But to run you through quickly, we had a couple of races last week. First race was at Dragon Trail Gardens, and that was dominated by Tom Fox and Javier Gusterini Turner. Their two teammates pulled away at the front and left the battle between themselves, which was won by Tom Fox, the BUKC racer and endurance driver for Club 100. The second race, Toby Nichols managed to grab the victory just from the two teammates. The second race always a reverse grid, as you may already know, and it was Toby who managed to just nip it away from Tom Fox and Javier in second place, but the same three drivers made the podium in both races. Further behind, Harry Neal certainly got himself involved in that second race battle. Jay Elliott had a consistent day and sits fifth in the championship from Ollie Smith. Peter Harrison 7th with Eric Mignon 8th, Cameron Biggs in 9th, George Turner 10th, Alex Wilmot 11th, and Tim Maragon in 12th, who was having issues last week. He was on a pad, so was struggling to get used to that, but I believe he is on a wheel this week and will be better for him. I think he's the one driver who's not actually in the lobby at the moment. I'm just looking through who's here. There is the fastest point on screen. Fastest point being, just check, that is Ollie Smith out there at the moment. But we now have 12 people in the lobby. Eric Mignon just joined us, so Tim must be in there somewhere. Have I just missed him? Let's just have a look. Where is Tim? Is he in fourth? No, Toby. Oh, sorry, PB Racing, isn't it? Confusing me. There's me thinking the actual name Tim would be in it, but no. So yes, so these are all Club 100 drivers. If you haven't been with us before, Club 100 and BUKC drivers. If you are a Club 100 driver or are a BUKC driver, feel free to join in the series. Get in touch with us. You'll be able to join when you would like. Glad to see some people joining us at the moment. As I say, feel free to comment in the chat or say who you're supporting for tonight. This first race is going to be nuts, basically. Slipstream Fest, and it's going to be quite technical in terms of strategy. You've got to make sure that you are not going to lose the draft. It'd be quite difficult for leaders to pull away unless there's action behind. So the first lap's all important for these drivers. And you may notice a lot of them have gone for a NASCAR style livery. There's Javier, currently quickest, only just from Cameron Briggs. So be interesting to see which drivers will be at the front of the qualifying session, which will start about 9 o'clock, so in about 2 minutes time. Hello to Max Bird, thank you for joining us again, and Anthony Stocker. Hope you can enjoy the racing that happens here tonight. If I remember rightly, Max was supporting Cameron Biggs last week, so we'll try and hopefully Cameron will be a bit near the front of the grid this week. But there is your current fastest person, Javier Gusterini. Sorry Javier, if I keep getting your name wrong. That's what I called you, Javier, all last week. So a bit like Ronaldo, just the one name. So it'll be interesting to see how the racing gets on. A few drivers have raced around this last season, but we didn't do the oval, we did the road course last season. So having an oval race actually in this championship is a new thing that our organiser Sam Dimlow, who races in Lobby 1, has brought into the series. He's decided to mix it up a little bit this year with a second lobby, and obviously slipstream, oval, yeah, it's all a different skill for the drivers to learn. And we're hoping for a very close race around this circuit. There's no reason that any of the 12 could win it. If I just have a look now, we've got George Turner currently in the pits. In 11th we've got Eric Mignon, and he's only a second off the pace as he actually goes quicker there and only goes 8/10 off the pace. So the whole field currently covered by literally 0.998, so about a second in practice. So qualifying, if you can get the slipstream, it'll be all important. So here we go for qualifying for round 3 at Blue Moon Super Speedway in the Mazda MX-5 Roadster. Let's see George Turner currently in the pits. Let's see who heads out first. First out of the pits is Javier. Now Javier, quickest in practice for Team in Blue, who are called, let me get this right, Team Sonic. We do have a team name for Team Black this week, and it's Dogecoin Racing. Banana Gymkhana in yellow are currently 3rd in the championship. Orange Arrows in 4th. Too Fat Too Furious in the pink cars are in 5th, and last in the lobby currently are Daniel App's substitutes in the purple cars. So that just gives you a bit of an idea of who is who. The championship has been mixed up between the two lobbies, so we do have an overall championship as well. But just to run you through what did happen in that Premier lobby for people who are watching who may think, well, where's Nathan, where's Ryan? They're all in the Premier lobby, and it was Nathan Maximin who currently leads the championship over there. These drivers you're watching tonight are trying to qualify for that Premier lobby next season. Callum Marshall is in 2nd, Ryan Sandell, the reigning double champion, is in third from Kirv Kalirai, who claimed his first victory at Monza in the second race. I can see, looking at the championship, that Steve Brown and Luke Battersby have both changed their cars for the second race, which means a 15-point deduction from their score. So not happy with how it went at Monza, and they've decided to change early on. So we're now into the qualifying session. First lap's finishing. It's currently Tom Fox that has gone into pole position, 0.3 of a second, and he is up front of his slipstreaming group. So he was actually the one getting pushed along, but he is now quickest from Toby. Third is currently Ollie Smith, and fourth Javier. So there's a bit of the top three in the championship are in the top four of qualifying at this moment in time. Fifth is Harry Neal, sixth Jay Elliott, Eric Mignon in 7th, and George Turner in 8th at this moment in time. As we look at George Turner here, wasn't happy with his performance last week, but we'll be looking for a better one this week in the G3 car. Sponsors of the Club 100 series, of course. As he comes across the line, can he improve from 8th? Yes, he does. He moves up into 7th place. A good lap there by George, especially considering he's running a lot of that lap by himself. So, and Tom Fox has headed to the pits already, so he was quite happy with that first lap and satisfied to come into the pits and try again. But as I say, we're watching George Turner, who is running quite well in this qualifying session so far, but no, not with any tow, so he might want to try and find somebody to help him out. There is Toby, who is second in the championship at this moment in time. We've got Toby Nichols, and he has Cameron Biggs helping him out in this qualifying session. The two teammates have decided to work together. Now, I'm surprised it's the only team we're seeing do this at this moment, but currently, unless you get into line, lads, it ain't going to work. You have to be in line. Being side by side isn't going to work. One of you has to sacrifice a lap and push the other one along. So currently Toby in 2nd place. We're looking for where Cameron currently is. He's down in 6th, and he is the one being pushed at this stage. So you can see how the bump drafting works. Now, if you get this right, it's worth a huge amount of time. But you could get so wrong in the corners, and what's interesting is actually catching up with the group in front. Now you can see Tom Fox just getting out the way there of the two cars and probably trying to tack on to the back of them. No, he's not. He's drifting off the back. Let's see if it's worked. Cameron goes across the line, goes P5 with a lot of improvements there. An improvement for Jay Elliott, Harry Neal. I saw Peter Harris come up as a quicker time. 51.5 for Eric Mignon, still leaving him outside of the top 8 for now. But will these two now swap, as Javier has now gone to pole position, and he's running by himself by the looks of things. May have had a bit of a draft off the cars behind him, but he's now currently into pole position and hoping to stay ahead of Tom Fox this week, his teammate. We can see George Turner just behind, who's in 10th place currently, and he's got the group. He's actually pulling along the other group, which probably isn't going to help him. But he goes across the line. No improvements there for anybody, actually. I think they're more getting in each other's way with just under 4.5 minutes of this session remaining. Looking at it, most cars are out on the same part of the circuit, so possibly getting in each other's way a bit. Just having a look, there is Tim Maragon, 1 second off the pace for now, but that's the whole field, so that's pretty impressive. He's now waiting for some slipstream by the looks of that. Same with Eric Mignon, who is just waiting for the pack to come round and will probably try and fade in behind. No, he's ghosted at the moment. No, he's getting up to speed now, so he's waiting for the pack. George Turner at the front of his pack. George could possibly do with letting one or two of these go. Improvement for Toby. He goes up into pole position with a 50.733, and Cameron moves up into the top 4, I think, with that one. Yes, he does. Just 2 tenths off the pole position. So now this is starting to get a little tasty. As we can see, there is Jay Elliott, who's currently in 6th place. He's in the middle of his pack. And speaking about things getting tasty, that's a great cornflakes livery on that car. As he now goes to the head of the pack, he's had enough of this messing around, and he's hoping somebody will push him along once he gets to the front of his pack. But side by side is not going to help these guys as we come across the line, and I don't think you'll see anybody improve this time by. Oh, they do. Jay improves to a 51.0, Alex to a 51.0 as well. Currently they're just pushing each other around and actually just not really gaining any time on each other. But the top 8 are covered by 3 tenths of a second, which you can easily gain with the right slipstream around here. There is Alex Wilmot, who's now decided to move to the head of this pack in the 73. You can see George Turner in this pack again. He's clipped onto the back. Is that Toby, who I can see in the pack there? No, he's backed out of it. So that will be Cameron Biggs, who is looking to go to the front of this pack now. So you already gain an idea of what the racing is going to be like in this race. And we go across the line. Does anybody improve this time by? Doesn't look like it. Just looking back, as George... No, that's George Turner in the pack there. So he's certainly now looking for a push off Jay Elliott in this qualifying session. But everybody's still to get... literally everybody's in the same area of track now. So we have pole position as 50.733. And last is 1.1 seconds off that. But here is Tim. He's got a lovely slipstream off of the cars in front at this moment. As long as those 2 purple cars do not clash, which is Eric and Alex, this might be a nice slipstream for Tim to just follow if he can duck in behind. And let's see what he does across the line. Is it going to be an improvement for Tim Maragon? Comes across the line with a slipstream from Eric Mignon. Yes, it is an improvement. Up to 10th actually. Great lap there by Tim. Moving up into the top 10 and only 7 tenths off the pace. So that now leaves the whole field covered just again by a second with Eric and George on the back row at this moment in time. But as I say, these are great laps by everybody. Unbeknown to us, Javier has jumped up into pole position just ahead of Toby, who is ironically, I think, pushing him and is being pushed. Javier is being pushed by Cameron. And just to check, no, it's actually Toby pushing his rival to pole position at this moment. So Javier lagging just a little bit there. That won't be helping the drivers behind. George Turner going a little bit tight in the G3 car. So they come across the line. They'll have one more lap to go before this qualifying session is over. An improvement for Eric Mignon with 51.3. That leaves him in possibly 11th place. Yes, which puts George down into 12th. Again, a second covering this field. So this is the last chance for all these drivers. Who is going to grab the pole position at the super speedway and have the best chance of a clean start? You can see George Turner being pushed by Jay Elliott at this moment. But this is a good group of cars heading towards the final corner. Who is going to come out on top of this qualifying session as they come down to the line? Everyone fans out to get the best run they can to the line. And it's going to be Javier into pole position. Toby and teammate Cameron Biggs moves up into 3rd. Jay Elliott up into 4th. And Tom Fox, the championship leader, down in 5th place in this qualifying session. That did not work out for him. 3 tenths off the pace. Harry Neal goes 6th. Peter Harris in 7th. Ollie Smith in 8th. And Alex Wilmot in 9th. And we will head to the race. Remember, any comments, queries, support messages, please please put in the chat below as we head into this 20-minute race with no tyre wear for these Mazda Roadsters. To finish off the grid, George Turner got the better of Tim Marigon and Eric Mignon for that top 10 placing. So here we go. Let's see how this race gets on. Javier on the front row. You can see the whole grid there waiting for the lights to go, and it's go, go, go. It's Javier who leads. Cameron Biggs moves up into second place. A poor start by Toby Nichols. Tom Fox is up into fourth and challenging for third already as he goes up the inside, and that is a great start by the championship leader. Oh, hits the apron, pushes out Toby as he comes back up the field, and Jay Elliott has took advantage of that in the cornflakes car to move up into third place. But the top two have stretched a little bit of a lead here, and the rest of the pack are going to have to sort themselves out and not let these two get away. So as they come round towards the final corner for the first time already, possibly 20 laps, maybe more, 21 or 22 is predicted, as Jay Elliott now looks for second place off Cameron Biggs, but across the line for the first time it is Javier Gusterini Turner who leads from Jay Elliott and Tom Fox. So that's a great opening lap by Jay Elliott. Down to fifth now is Cameron Biggs as Harry O'Neill moves up into fourth, and the two cars for the black team for Dodge Coin Racing have dropped away after starting second and third, and now sitting fifth and sixth in this race. A good start behind for Peter Harris, he's in seventh, but as you can see the whole field's still very closed up here. We've got a couple of cars off the back of the pack slightly, Eric Mignon and George Turner, but they can still gain this back as Jay Elliott heads for the lead. I don't know how he managed that little run. Let's just have a quick look at it as he was already through at that stage, so we'll head back to that in a minute. But Tom Fox is now side by side with Jay and heading towards turn 2 on this tri-oval circuit, and Javier is pushing Jay, not Tom Fox, for the lead. So Tom Fox now drops down to third place because his teammate pushed his rival. But now Javier now looks to the inside and now has Tom Fox alongside. This is going to be action all the way. The top 6 have a little bit of a lead over Ollie Smith, but the Kellogg's Cornflakes car heads across the stripe for the third time and leads the race, and actually officially leads the lap, as Javier has Toby Nichols on the inside. So Toby Nichols, high into the wall almost there for Pete. Was that Peter Harris who was running? No, it's Harry Neal who dropped back. Harry Neal running wide towards the wall in the 14. These cars just trying to pick up that slipstream. The drivers don't want to miss out on how it's going. George Turner and Eric Mignon currently having a battle for 11th place. Those two could do with working together while these are battling rather than fighting themselves. But it's Javier who's gone to the lead and Toby Nichols follows him. It's very hard to keep up with this type of racing, but it's all about positioning. You need to be in the right position on the last lap, as Toby Nichols now dives for the lead up the inside of Javier into turn 1, gets a push from Jay Elliott. Javier clips the wall. Is that going to cost him? There's a bit of door rubbing as Ollie Smith comes up into second place. Last time I looked he was 8th. Great move there by Ollie Smith to move through into second place. He's had enough of this pack racing and he is heading off for the lead. Ollie Smith, who had a decent enough start to last week's racing, finished in 6th in the points at that stage, but everybody heading down. So it's Toby Nichols who leads, then it's going to be Cameron Biggs who takes second place. So this shows you how quick this racing can change. Those two cars for Dodge Racing were second and third on the grid. By the end of the first lap, they're 6th and 7th. They're now back into first and second, and now really need to work together and not have people like Jay Elliott all over the back of them if they want to dominate this race. Unfortunately for them, this tri-oval is far too short and far too wide for them to run side by side and just block the path, as Jay Elliott now moves up into second place. Javier and the two Team Sonic cars are now side by side with Javier and Tom Fox, and it looks like Elliott's going for the lead. Is Elliott going for the lead? He is, and all, as Elliott hits the front as the side by side, and bit of pinball in the middle there, but it's Cameron Biggs who now hits the front for the first time. Cameron now under attack from Jay Elliott again, and this is just going to keep changing and keep changing. This is almost like the O-Plate and the go-karts in the first season we had. You just couldn't keep up with it. And Javier, Ollie Smith and Peter Harris is now in this fight in the Dayglow yellow car, just ahead or just behind championship leader Tom Fox. So that is a great run so far for Peter Harris, now side by side with championship leader Tom Fox. Harry Neal close behind, and I think that's Alex Wilmot just hanging onto the back of this group in the dark purple car. Oh, cars all over the place. But it is Dodge Racing who have the two cars back at the front, and it's Cameron Biggs and Toby Nichols. You wouldn't believe anything happened at the start of, on this lap, but again the two guys have gone side by side and allowed the pack to join in the fight, as this race will continue to go on. And what I'm going to do is just give you a lap to hear the racing and watch what is going on, rather than having me talk over these lovely sounding engines roaring around the circuit. Oh, sorry to jump in there, but that's Javier, who has gone down to 9th place, went up into the wall. We'll go on board with Javier and see what happened there. He just went for second place down into turn 1. There is Jay Elliott. There's a bit of bumping from behind, and he just understeers straight into the wall. Oh, it was Toby Nichols who was in the wall initially. Jay Elliott got round him, and Javier just ended up hitting the back of him. So that is why Javier, and this is crucial for the championship points, because Javier is sitting third in the points and he's currently off the slipstream. He is not there for the fight. Just having a look a bit further back, Tim Maragon has been caught by George Turner and Eric Mignon, and as the fight continues for that final top 10 spot, the whole pack currently covered by 6.7 seconds, but there is the Team Sonic car of Javier, and he really needs that group behind now to catch him up and work together to try and catch the pack back up, but I just can't see it happening. So we're down to 8 at the front, and I've missed it, but Peter Harris has hit the front as I speak, and the two cars go flying past him. After a tribute to Murray Walker, how else can we have racing like this, where I call the leader and then it's not? As Peter now drops down to 5th place. This is how this oval racing is going. The great Murray Walker would always say that he never got things wrong, he made prophecies. Problem is, those prophecies were immediately incorrect from something changing. Can't quite remember the sentence he always come out with, but that's always how it worked. As the Pennzoil 69 car, Peter Harris is now looking for the inside to try and move back through to the field, but it's Toby Nichols, second in the championship, who was in the lead, and it's Tom Fox, the championship leader, hits the front for the first time in this race. He's bided his time, he heads to the inside, and they're 3 wide across the stripe. Proper NASCAR style of 2 groups here now. Tom Fox as Jay Elliott fans out into the corner. It's Peter Harris up into third place, and still a group of 8 for the lead of this race. But the more they fan out, the more they might let Javier gain up. You can just see him in the background, and let's see if it's actually working. It is working. He was over 2 seconds behind this pack, and it's 1.8 now. So will he have enough time with 10 minutes remaining? But the lead at the front is engrossing as Tom Fox hugs the inside line, tries not to let anybody up the inside. And let's take you into the middle of this pack as we go on board with Harry Neal. This is the view from 6th place in this race. Harry choosing the inside line, following Peter Harris in front in the Dayglow yellow car. Tom Fox and Jay Elliott, it looks like, bit of door rubbing, 3 wide into turn 1. A great dive by Harry Neal, and he moves straight up into 4th place. Is there anybody on his outside at this moment in time? Looks like there might be. Drops down into 5th as, oh, look at this, 4 wide towards turn 2, and it could be Ollie Smith who ends up taking the lead. Tom Fox gets a little bump, stays on the inside of Jay Elliott. Yes, Ollie Smith, what a move that was to go up into the lead. We'll try and pick that up out of the first corner. He just heads to the outside line as everybody is sitting watching each other, and he just drives right round the outside of them. Absolutely brilliant there by Ollie Smith. Let's see if it's all changed by the time we get round. No, Ollie still leads down into turn 1, but he has a hungry pack behind him. And Peter Harris, who was leading not more than 2 laps ago, is now in 8th. So this race could literally change on a sixpence. But we now have 8 Mazda Roadsters sitting in position to win this race. Fastest lap currently with Toby. That's an extra point for him in his championship challenge against Tom Fox, as the 2 title rivals are side by side for 3rd and 4th at this moment. But it's Jay Elliott who hits the front here at Blue Moon. Elliott crosses the line and officially leads for onto lap 15. 7 minutes, just under 8 minutes to go. We're still 3 wide. This circuit just allows racing like this to happen. Featuring back, Javier still 1.8 behind. Really needs them to fight a lot more. Looking further back, and it's a great fight here for 10th place. Eric Mignon sitting in 10th at the moment. He's got Tim Maragon straight behind him, and George Turner just giving him a little watch and brief for now, hoping not to lose that toe. But if these two keep battling, he will be straight back onto the back of these two without any doubt. But there is George Turner, who now goes to the inside of Tim Maragon. A great move from Tim running wide, and they will go side by side across the start finish line. Bit of door rubbing, but 8.4 seconds covers the whole field after 10 minutes. And that's with cars losing slipstream in that, so that shows how close this field is. But we head back to the front, and it's Team Dodge back at the front. Toby Nichols leading Cameron Biggs, as Ollie Smith looks to the inside of Jay Elliott. And McKellogg's car is going to go backwards here, because Harry Neal's in line to move up into 4th place, as he does. Peter Harris now looks for the inside of the Kellogg's car. As you can see, it's on the outside. Didn't realise there's Pizza Hut also advertised on that car of Jay Elliott, but doesn't quite make it through by Peter Harris. So we will sit on board with him as we head down into turn number 1. The cars fan out under braking. Not much braking into here, but it's the hardest braking zone on the circuit. As Peter looks to the inside, oh, there's a bit of contact there. Ollie Smith swerves out wide, and this is going to give Peter Harris a great run up into 3rd place. And now he needs to find a little bit of slipstream just to help him out. It's Toby Nichols who leads from Jay Elliott, and Peter Harris, who's side by side with Cameron Biggs. Bit of support coming in for Cameron Biggs from Binley, who says, hey, go Cam in 2nd. Yeah, he's now 4th. See, it's like me. I say something, it changes. It works for you guys as well. But we've got the two leaders side by side here. As we see them go down the pit straight. Peter Harris pushing Jay Elliott, now choosing to head to the inside, but he loses out to Cameron Biggs. That was very... oh, Biggs is in the wall. That's Cameron Biggs in the wall. He hasn't lost too much time, but he drops to the back of this pack and he's now in 8th. As Peter Harris now goes for 3rd place in this race. Tom Fox, championship leader, on the back. There's a little bit of gap behind Tom, but Harry and Alex Wilmot will join back onto that. But Cameron Biggs has lost the slipstream to a point. As this lot start battling, there is Cameron Biggs. After that little clip with the wall, he is now he will gain the slipstream back. He's only half a second behind, but look who's behind that. Javier has gained back into this pack, and we now have a pack of 9 for this lead. Javier could still win this race, which would be a miracle of miracles if he could do that, because he's had to work so hard to get back onto this pack. He's managed to do it with 4 minutes remaining. It's probably the best time for him to do it, because nobody will know he's there yet, and he's now sitting there in 9th place, and people probably thought he was out of it. Further back we can see on the timing tower that Eric Mignon and George Turner have got past Tim Maragon for sure now, but this is a group of 9 which we cannot leave alone, because anything could happen here. As Tom Fox is currently leading, Jay Elliott goes to 2nd, and Alex Wilmot comes up into the top 3 for the first time today, as he initially drops back down to 4th as Toby Nichols heads around the outside of him. This pack racing is certainly very entertaining here, as Elliott hits the front and it's side by side, 3 wide at the front. Tom Fox slips back into the slipstream of Elliott because he wants to work with Elliott. He doesn't want to work with his championship rival Toby Nichols. Top 8 there with Cameron Biggs just off the back, but he will pick up this slipstream in due course, so it will still be 9 for the lead. Nobody has beaten that 50.597 by Toby Nichols, as Jay Elliott leads across the stripe again. And I've noticed Jay has timed this pretty well as we head on to lap 21. Quite often he's leading across the start finish line, and that's all you have to do. So as long as you get to a start finish line before the rest of them, you've won the race. So it doesn't matter how many times you lead, but Jay is doing a good job of training himself to get that run and be in the lead out of that final corner and keep the lead by the time he gets to the checkered flag. Peter Harris there in the Dayglow yellow, just sitting watching brief at this moment. Tom Fox is back down to 5th place, as again Jay Elliott will cross the stripe first. Toby Nichols pulling out. Will he beat him to the start finish line? No, he doesn't that time. That is important to know. You have to make the move in the final corner. You can't wait. As Peter Harris at the back moves up the inside of Harry Neal for 7th place. And Javier is there in 6th place. No, sorry, 7th place. He's just been passed by Harry Neal, who's got a wicked run off the first corner and moves up into 6th place and is alongside Jay Elliott, who was leading a minute ago. It's Toby Nichols and Tom Fox who sit at the front, with Alex Wilmot in 3rd place and Ollie Smith back into the fight in 4th. We have 1 minute 12 remaining, so there's 2 laps left for these drivers. I believe the pack at the back will probably get 2 laps as well. We'll just see as these guys cross the stripe for the penultimate time in racing conditions. Oh, wide. I think that was Biggs. Yes, it was Cameron Biggs who just got a nudge into the wall there. I think it wasn't on purpose. I think it was just, yeah, it was just 2 cars. I think it was Javier and Peter Harris getting together on the inside, and it just forced Biggs out into and probably out of this win. because he's now sitting in 9th place and ready to pick up pieces, but he might just lose the slipstream at 8/10 of a second. We head back to the front as the championship rivals are side by side for the lead of this race, with Alex Wilmot, Jay Elliott, Harry Neal, Javier, Gusterini Turner, Ollie Smith and Peter Harris all in this fight for the win as they fan out. Still trying to keep it too wide. Javier having a little bit of lag there, which isn't helping the drivers, but Peter Harris and Ollie Smith having a watch and brief at the back. Tom Fox leads. This is the final lap for these drivers. As they head down towards turn 2 for the final time, it's Tom Fox who leads from Toby Nichols, Alex Wilmot in third, Harry Neal positioning himself on the inside to try and move up into them podium positions. It might just work here, you know, and it does. Harry Neal's on the inside of Alex Wilmot, who's going right round the outside. He's put the throttle down and he's got into the lead, and Alex Wilmot is going to win this. Alex Wilmot's moved round the outside of the final corner and he wins it. Oh, how close was that for the top 8? But what a move there by Alex Wilmot. I'm so gutted we can't replay that. A brilliant move around the outside of the final corner. I thought he was about to lose 3rd place, and he actually took the 2 championship rivals around the outside and took a brilliant victory, a brilliantly timed run out that final corner to win. And we'll just head up to have a look at the race results. I've got to save that replay because I want to see that move again. But it was Alex Wilmot who took the win by 1.148 seconds in the end from Javier, who shouldn't have even been in this battle. How on earth he worked so hard to get up, and that podium is so well deserved as he beats his teammate Tom Fox down to 3rd. Toby Nichols 2nd in the championship in 4th, Ollie Smith in 5th. Jay Elliott will be disappointed with 6th after leading a lot of laps. Peter Harris in 7th, Harry Neal in 8th, Cameron Biggs in 9th, George Turner rounds out the top 10, getting the better of Eric Mignon and Tim Maragon. Toby Nichols picks up the extra point for the fastest lap on lap 3, so that shows you how hard people were battling throughout that race. I don't dare look at the lap chart. Look at the amount of overtakes going on in that lobby. It's just crazy, and that's only the ones which were crossing the line. So we are going to take a short break here. I've just got to put in when race 2 will be starting. It's 21:45 for race 2. So just give everybody a few minutes break unless they want to go practice in this lobby, which they're obviously welcome to do. I will be just leaving it on this and just taking a few minutes break. But what a win that was by Alex Wilmot to claim victory in round 3 of the Club 100 GT Sport Clubmans Championship. Hello and welcome back to the Clubmans on the GT Sport Club 100 BUKC Championship. We are now heading into our GR3 race for round 4 here at the Red Bull Ring. At first look, a very simple circuit, 9 corners. And is it 9 or is it now 10? Because the corner that Javier has just swept through is nothing in a car, but on a bike it's quite treacherous and certainly a corner that's numbered on the bikes. I'm not sure if it is in the cars. He's heading down into turn 4 now, but quite a simple looking circuit, but also produces some brilliant racing. And also another very quick circuit. We've just had the oval racing, the drivers will be used to bump drafting and that, but here sometimes it will come in useful as well. We're currently looking at Javier Gusterini Turner. Javier lost out to Alex Wilmot in the first race tonight at Blue Moon Raceway, but lost the toe during the race and had to gain it back, and that was certainly the drive. I'd like to give driver of that race to Alex Wilmot, because he had a great drive, but I'm afraid it has to go to Javier for gaining that time back and getting the slipstream when he wanted it, and just as he needed it. I think he got back onto the tail with 4 minutes to go, so be interesting. So he's certainly on strong form tonight, and we'll be looking to close that championship lead even more with this second race. Looking there at the times, we've got Eric Mignon up in 3rd place, which is impressive by Eric in the Aston Martin. But a little bit more about this circuit. It was home to the Austrian Grand Prix when it was the Österreich Ring, which went off into the hills and was almost as scary as the Nordschleife, to be fair, in terms of safety and racing. But that disappeared in the mid-80s, I want to say, maybe early 80s, 70s, something around that. I think it may be in 80s, and returned as the A1 ring in 1997 with this simplified layout, but much enjoyed layout. It's not a circuit that doesn't bring us action. There's always action at this race. You can think back to 1998 wet qualifying when Giancarlo Fisichella and John Alesi in the Sauber, who was on the front row, and those two actually collided at this very corner, turn 3 or turn 2, depends how you want to look at it, in the race, and ruined their chances of a good result. That was in 1999 when the two McLarens hit each other, Coulthard spinning Hakkinen off on the opening lap, allowing Eddie Irvine through to start his championship challenge with the first of 2 wins in a row, when he also won in Germany when Mika Salo let him past. Also Schumacher and Montoya again up into turn 2-3, outbraking himself and running into the gravel. Same corner where Takuma Sato and Nick Heidfeld had a horrendous accident in a Jordan and the Sauber a few years later on. So this place is certainly known for its action. We've had a Williams front row in recent years with the turbo hybrid era, but we are heading off to the GR3 race. Remember, tyre wear is on for this race, so but it is a reverse grid, so Alex Wilmot will be at the back of the grid, and the front row will be comprising of Eric Mignon, and in pole position Tim Maragon. So as the drivers line up on the front row, who do you think is going to win? Place your bets in the chat when you can, but we're going to get ready for the start of this race. Everybody has picked the same GR3 car as they had last week, but it is getting ready for the go. Tim Maragon on pole position on the right, Eric Mignon on the left, George Turner 3rd, with Cameron Biggs in 4th trying to make amends, and it's go with a huge amount of wheel spin for the pole position holder. It just goes backwards and heads straight to the back of the pack, but it's Mignon who leads into turn 1. Second, a load of cars going wide, so we'll just look back and see who gets it. It's Jay Elliott and George Turner who are side by side for second place. George just taking a position because I think Jay went miles wide, just behind Harry Neal and Ollie Smith. So good start for the orange cars as George Turner outbrakes Jay Elliott into that corner in the Nissan GTR. But the Corvette's got better traction and he's out into second place. And after the early leader Mignon, looking further back, our championship leader Tom Fox is up into 6th place ahead. Oh, and there's collision there, door banging between the two teammates, between Javier and Tom Fox. There is no love lost here. They looked like they were working together last week, but this week it is certainly not happening, as out wide goes Harry Neal and into the gravel slightly. I think that is not down to Javier. I think that's down to a bit of lag from Javier's side of things. We'll have to get that fixed for next week. But looking further up the field, we do seem to be missing Peter Harris. Yes, there is Peter Harris off the back of the pack. I'm guessing we haven't got what happened to him. No, he was already off the back of the pack, so it must have been an early on thing. But there is Peter, and he's going to have a lot to need to gain on. Just ahead of him at the back of the pack is Toby Nichols, not making the moves he needs to make as he moves up the inside of Tim Maragon into turn 1. Oh, and almost loses it, allowing Tim to get the position back. Tim down in 10th from pole position. But we head back to the front as Jay Elliott is now looking to try and make a move on Eric Mignon. I think he had a penalty to get rid of. Ghost in there. George Turner running really well in third early on in this race, but it's Tom Fox up to 4th behind him already, and Javier is making a move on Ollie Smith for 5th. Two Team Sonic cars moving through really quickly in this pack from 2nd and 3rd last on the grid. Love the orange arrows livery on that Mercedes, love that. But there is, as I say, a little bit of lag from Team Sonic cars tonight. Not sure why that is. And just behind that is Harry Neal holding off Cameron Briggs, who's looking to get up through the field after his poor start to this race. But we head back to the front, and it's everybody's favourite Belgium still leading. Eric Mignon holding off the pressure of Jay Elliott. Both of these huge amount of Club 100 starts between them. I don't think there's anybody else, maybe Peter Harris, who could compete with them for Club 100 starts. As George Turner, wide there by, where has Jay Elliott gone? He's gone out wide there. He's got a slow down penalty, so he won't be able to pass Eric into here even if he gets a run. Those are the rules. So he needs to now sit behind Eric, try and get rid of it in braking area, but it's going to give George Turner a chance up the inside. He tries to get through, doesn't quite make it. But Jay didn't manage to get rid of a penalty either, which he was probably hoping for, as the two Team Sonic cars are now coming up behind George Turner. Oh, and they're battling each other as Javier tries to look up the inside. George Turner up the inside of Jay Elliott as he goes to try and get rid of a penalty, and through goes George Turner into 2nd place. But Jay will fight back here. He goes to the inside of George, and they're just letting Eric just pull away a little bit, which is music to Mignon's ears. A bit of gravel tracking for Turner as Tom Fox goes up into 3rd place in the middle of a chicane. So George Turner now got to find his rhythm again and defend from Javier. As he does, Javier backs out of that move. Tom Fox to the inside of Jay. Two Corvettes side by side. And will Tom make the move? Yes, he does in the final corner, but drifts out wide. This is Elliott's chance back up into turn 1. He's going to look for the run, and has he got that penalty still to serve? I'm not sure if he has, or whether it's just stuck on the screen, so we'll ignore that for now. But we're on board with Elliott as he heads up towards turn number 2 and 3. He's not looking for a move, so I'm guessing he's still trying to get rid of a penalty. Yes, he is. He's now got rid of it, so that's gone. So Elliott can start making moves again, but that has been a costly lap for Elliott. hasn't been able to fight and overtake Eric Mignon, and he's actually lost out. A bit further back we got George Turner now behind Javier, but now having a look up the inside into turn 4. We're on board with him, and he won't quite make it through there, but holding off the attentions of his teammate Ollie Smith. Further behind we've got Cameron Biggs and Harry Neal. Cameron making his way up the inside in the Porsche 911. Further behind, Toby Nichols trying to make progress, but he needs to close back in with the last race winner Alex Wilmot in 10th place. No progress by Alex so far in the Peugeot, just ahead of Peter Harris, who's plodding along after that initial first lap incident which we missed on the camera, but he's back ahead of Tim Maragon now. So progress there by Peter, but we're back at the front, and Javier has got past Jay Elliott behind. Tom Fox runs wide out of there. Now that's important. Tom Fox ran wide. Did he pick up a penalty? Yes, he did. So Eric Mignon doesn't need to defend from Alex into here. He won't know defend from Tom into here. But the more mistakes like that, the longer it will go on with getting rid of penalties, and Eric is just keeping it clean at the moment. But Aston Martin looking very composed, not pushing too hard as we look further back, and we have the two orange cars, team orange cars side by side, as Ollie Smith heads to the inside, and it's Jay Elliott back in that battle. George Turner and Ollie Smith have made it past Jay, and there goes Cameron Biggs past him. So a terrible couple of laps for Jay Elliott, dropping down into 7th place. But this shows how close the pack is. One mistake and you're there. There is a mistake by Ollie Smith. Nothing he could do there, and that will be looked at possibly, but I don't think there's anything there. It was Cameron Biggs. We'll go on board with Cameron, who got caught up in that. Heads down through this corner. He's just got ahead of Jay Elliott. And I think what happens is you'll find Ollie Smith makes a mistake, runs out onto the gravel, comes back on, and just nowhere for anyone to go. I think it's just a racing incident between them all, but Jay ends up catching the back of Ollie Smith, who runs into the back of Cameron. All three of them with absolutely nowhere to go, and I don't think there's a lot you could have done about that, to be fair. But we head back to the front as Eric Mignon is still defending from the Team Sonic cars and still leads this race. In 4th place we have George Turner, who's just been passed by Jay Elliott, but still a good run by George at the moment, up in 5th place. Remember, tyre wear is on for these guys, so at about half distance we'll start to know if people are going to pit in this race. The strategies aren't as open as they were last year. That's to help the pad users in the championship, because tyre wear is worse when you're using a pad. But George, having a bit like Eric, having a nice controlled race at the moment and not pushing it too hard, just getting that Nissan GTR around. He's got Harry Neal behind, who's off into the gravel slightly, and Toby Nichols, who's closing in. Alex Wilmot, the winner of the last race, in 8th. A little jig there by Jay, running the full length of the curb to try and get the best run through the corner. But as they come across the stripe for the 6th time, it's Eric Mignon who still leads this race from Tom Fox and Javier, all looking for the move. The question is, can these three do it without stopping? If they can, they're looking in a very strong position at this moment in time as Tom Fox heads for the lead in the Corvette up the inside of the Aston Martin. A lovely move into turn 2 and 3, and Tom Fox, the championship leader, now leads from Mignon and Turner. Further back we can see George Turner having to fight off the tensions currently of two cars, Toby Nichols and Harry Neal. Oh, Toby goes to the inside, a bit of contact. Oh, and a spin there for Harry Neal just behind. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But Harry Neal going round, and he will drop behind Ollie Smith. So we'll just have a look at that on board as he heads down into this corner. A late move there, but pod to pod, as we'd say in Club 100. And Harry just catches the inside curb, and around he goes. It's down to 9th place for Harry Neal. That won't do his tyres any good. Back at the front, Javier has got past, goes past Eric Mignon, and is now running in 2nd place. But these top 3 have pulled away now. Have a nice gap back to 4th place, who's not even in shot there. All wide by the leader of the championship and the leader of this race, Tom Fox, who's just ran wide there at this corner. And that will give Javier a run on him. Eric Mignon not far behind as Javier had a look, but knowing their teammates, just biding his time. Gets a good run out the corner. Will he have a look down into the next corner? We're on board with Javier now. He looks to the inside of Tom Fox and he's going for the lead. Tom trying to get rid of a penalty, so just lets it go and lives to fight another day. The 2 cars still side by side, but Javier now leads, and his form today, I wouldn't be surprised if he disappears into the distance, but that's not what the others will want. The fastest lap currently by Jay Elliott, actually down in 5th place. So Jay in 5th, now following Toby Nichols and trying to pull away from the Nissan GTR of George Turner. Feel free to put your comments into the chat as always. We're currently 18 minutes to go in this race, so it'd be interesting just to see where everybody is on tyre wear. So we head back to the front. There is Tom Fox now having a look at his teammate again. I don't think he'll try it into turn 1. It's a bit of a risky area. The tyre wear's good on theirs. Even better tyre wear by Eric Mignon. He will definitely be looking to get to the end of the race. And the same on Toby Nichols. A little bit more wear on the Corvette of Jay Elliott as he runs wide. George Turner's tyres looking good. There's not much difference between the cars. There is Peter Harris, who's starting to catch people now. So Peter certainly persevering with this race and closing in on Cameron Biggs for 9th place. And this will be important points in the championship here, as he's now gone ahead of Harry Neal, who may have just pitted actually for some fresh boots after that spin. No, he hasn't yet, so he's just dropped back to 11th. Maybe another mistake there by Harry. And in 12th is his teammate Tim Maragon, so that's not good for the Team Pink cars. We head back to the front, and Javier still leads from his teammate, and this is very much the battle we saw last week between the 2 Team Sonic cars. They sort of dominated on pace, but it's going to have to get nasty at some point for one of them to win the championship. So when will that happen? They didn't seem to be helping. A bit of a slowdown there by Javier. Didn't seem to be too many team orders in the first race. Will there be team orders in this second race? Will they just calm it down, knowing they're first and second, and just try and get the points for the team? Further behind, Eric Mignon still running here in 3rd place. A great drive by Belgium. He's got a bit of a slowdown to get rid of. Most people picking him up out of the first corner, but he's sitting 2.4 seconds off the lead, and he's certainly there if something goes amiss with these front 2. But he has Toby Nichols closing in on him, and Jay Elliott still has the attentions of George Turner, who is having a great opening stint to this race. He's coming up to half distance, sitting in 6th place and harassing Jay Elliott in the yellow Corvette. Certainly won't miss these 2 cars in a dark race. But as they head through the twisty middle section of this lap, both cars looking pretty good at the moment. Jay Elliott a little bit more scrappy. In 7th place is the latest race winner, Alex Wilmot, in the Peugeot. Peugeot not looking too good around this circuit at this stage. I think it's a car that Steve Brown had in the Premier class, and he's dropped it, so I think Alex is one of the only drivers left in the 2 lobbies with the Peugeot. But determined to stick with it for now. Further behind, Ollie Smith in 8th. 9th is Cameron Biggs. 10th for Peter Harris. And then the 2 cars near the back of Harry and Tim. So looking for the closest battle on the track at the moment. I think it's this one between Jay Elliott, who's getting rid of another penalty into turn 2. It'll be his racing line at this rate, and George Turner, who's still all over the back of Jay in the G3 car. It's the best showing we've seen from George currently this season. A bit of fire squirting out the back, and brakes are light. Heavy braking down into that turn 4. The car's looking really composed through this corner. And George, I'm not even sure George is pushing completely to the limit here. He looks so in control of the car. No sliding, no messy moments at the moment, and he's having a look at Jay. Probably not the place to do it. Line him up out of turn 1 is probably best. You can see the different lines people are using. George a lot tighter out that final corner. Whether that was through choice, I don't know, but you can see 2 by 2 at the moment. We've got 2 leaders. 3rd and 4th are closing up together, and 5th and 6th. So we'll have a look forward to Toby Nichols here in the Comedy Club Nissan GTR. Toby, who is sitting 2nd in the championship coming into tonight, now having a look to make it a 3rd place finish if he can get ahead of Eric. Not happening this time by. I think at the moment, looking at it, there may only be pit stops if the drivers feel they need one for safety. We've got a car off at the very back of the pack, which I think is Tim Maragon, and he will be, that's probably because he's pitted. We'll just have a look. Oh, Harry Neal is in the pits, that's who it is. Harry, who had that spin earlier on, deciding it's time to pit, as we have a battle now for 3rd place. And Toby Nichols looking to the inside of Eric Mignon, and cleanly does it into the corner, into the chicane, and that is up into 3rd place for the 2nd in the championship driver. He really needs a good result after Javier made the podium last time out at Blue Moon, and is currently leading the race out in front. So that this means Team Sonic will be 1st and 2nd in the championship at this stage. But Toby Nichols, the one driver who can upset that with a good result here tonight. Further back, we've got George Turner still looking for the inside on Jay Elliott. He's distracted him enough to make him run wide into here. This is going to be George's best chance, I think, heading up into the top corner, but that Corvette is so quick in a straight line. But there is George, he's going for the inside into the corner, and he should make this stick. Oh, late braking by Jay Elliott, and he just holds on around the outside. That's very well done by the experienced Elliott, as he has George Turner to keep him occupied probably for the rest of this 11 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. We're on to lap 13. George, oh, just looking again, and every time we look, George is taking a half dive at Jay, and I think Jay knows about it now. We've had over half a race now, and Jay knows these little digs are going to come, and I think he just needs to settle in again, George, and have a look. So maybe surprise Jay a little bit later on than these half looks. Looking further back, you can see there is Ollie Smith holding off the attentions of Cameron Biggs at this moment in time. Both drivers probably would have wanted a little bit more from tonight. Peter Harris up into 9th place after his off on the opening lap. Certainly shows it's worth keeping going throughout the race. Alex Wilmot down into 10th. Has Alex pitted? No, not yet. But Alex down into 10th in the Peugeot. Must have been a mistake somewhere. 11th for Tim Maragon, who looks like he possibly has pitted, and 12th currently for Harry Neal, who we saw in the pits later on, and is now over pushing it to try and gain the time back. And let's have a look back at our leaders, both looking quite decent on tyre wear. So is Toby Nichols, certainly looking good on tyre wear, and Eric Mignon, who's having the drive of his season at the moment. And George Turner just looking a little bit more comfortable on the tyres than the Corvette in front of him, and might want to just wait till a bit later in the race. But we look back at our leaders, Javier with a half a second lead over Tom Fox. This could be crucial mentally for Javier to get one over on Tom in the championship fight and close the gap. It's already, you know, single figure points, but this could really put the cat among the pigeons. We have just over 9 minutes remaining of this race. It will be a safety pit stop for anybody who wants to pit at this stage. I don't think they will. A little wide over sausage curb by Javier, riding Russ's sausage out the first corner. And we're just in a bit of a lull at the moment. I think George Turner has fallen off the back of Jay Elliott, so this is the closest battle on the field at the moment in time. The two leaders, 2.5 seconds ahead of Toby Nichols. Does seem to be closing the gap slightly, but which these two will have to watch out for. If they start fighting, Toby will be there to try and pick up the pieces. But they currently seem to be working together at the moment, not fighting too hard. Got 8 minutes remaining, there's plenty of time to fight. As I can see on the graphic on the right hand side, that Harry Neal is now closing in on his teammate Tim Maragon for that last place. These drivers pushing each other down towards the final two corners. And Tom Fox just playing the team game. Tom, an endurance driver in Club 100, but also has raced in the BUKC where teams have 2, 3, 4 karts in a race, and knows the team game, and he's playing it well here with Javier, just pushing him along. Toby Nichols is closing the gap though, only 2.2 seconds off now. Nobody has currently beaten that lap time by Jay Elliott actually, who has now closed in, I believe, on the back of Eric Mignon, as you'll see them in the background. No, he hasn't. Eric's all by himself still. That's my mistake. It's George who's closing in on Jay, but this is still the closest fight, so we'll stick with these two leaders for now, because this is also the championship fight. We'll go on board currently with Tom Fox, who runs a little bit off the corner, sideways by Javier. Tom just working out where he's a little bit stronger than Javier, wanting to make his way through. And it will be all important if he can, because it will be just those few extra points ahead of his teammates in the championship. These three drivers, Javier, Tom, Toby, dominated the podiums over the first 2 weeks. And it's only Alex Wilmot who took victory at Blue Moon who's managed to scrape onto the podium apart from these 3 drivers. So, considering 3 get qualified at the end of the year to the Premier Class, at the end of week 4, you'd expect these 3 to be quite happy with it. But no, they will want to win this title. They will want to come away as the first GT Sport Club 100 champion in the Clubman's class. So this fight will certainly be on. But we're just in this calm. Oh, and Tom runs wide. Oh, bumps into Javier, but lets him go. So that fight will now let, and it has let, Toby Nichols, who's 1.1 seconds behind these front 2 now, and coming into this fight very quickly. And if I wasn't too sure, if I was Tom Fox, I would be wanting to get past my teammate very quickly right now, because Toby Nichols is coming in and might just steal this victory like he did last week. That Nissan GTR is very good on its tyres, and Toby Nichols is taking full advantage of that at this moment in time. before he catches that fight, we'll just have a look back at the fight between George Turner and Jay Elliott. George now closing back up onto the back of Jay Elliott with just under 5 minutes remaining, so George has pulled himself back together and now getting into the fight. You can see his teammate Ollie Smith's behind him, and George, who was very unhappy with his performance in the first couple of rounds, this will certainly be a huge boost to him. Only 10 seconds off the lead and all over Jay Elliott throughout this race. Jay, who is a potential race winner, as Jay goes very wide into there. Definitely a penalty coming up for Jay to get rid of, excuse me. And he will ghost now, and that will allow George to close back up. But certainly a lot of mistakes for Jay running wide in that first corner. But we'll head back to our leaders, where Javier, Tom Fox, is now trying to make the move on Javier. He's gone around the outside of this corner, or is Javier trying to fight him back? But they're both going side by side into turn number 5 here, and Tom Fox now leads. He's now took the lead away from Javier, because Toby Nichols is right on the back of this. This is now a three-way fight for the lead after these two teammates have seemingly held each other up. So we will now go on board with Toby Nichols, who has a full view of these, and Toby going up the inside of Javier into the penultimate corner. A great move there by Toby Nichols. We'll have a look back at that in a minute, but that is a great move by Toby Nichols. They always say catching is one thing, passing is another, as Toby now goes for a lead into turn number 1, pulls out from the slipstream up the inside of Tom Fox and goes into the lead. What a great couple of corners by Toby Nichols. The two cars are side by side, very slippery. Has something happened to Tom Fox? Yes, it has. I'll just try and clip that back there and see what happened. We'll go on board with him as he sees Toby go up the inside. You'll see him to the right hand side here, tries to turn in. Toby is there, and on the power, it's just a bit too early by Tom Fox, I think there. Two cars clipping together and Tom having to recover, and that has allowed Javier into the lead. Just try and have a look at that from the outside as well if we can, as Eric Mignon is now all over Tom Fox. We'll have another look there at the move. Up the inside into turn number 1, not always the best passing place, but Toby was clearly up the inside, just on the power, on that sausage curb, and well caught by Tom Fox not to lose more time. But we head back to the front, and Toby Nichols has got the lead and is now playing his game into the championship. He won round number 2 at Monza last week, and he's now looking for a second GR3 feature race win in a row in the Clubman class to stamp his authority on this championship. He's got Javier stalking him. Javier, who loves the second place at the moment. This will be possibly his 3rd of the season. I will just have a look back at the points just to confirm that. Let's just have a look while this race has again took a little bit of a lull. It would actually be Javier's 4th second place in a row if he finishes here. So consistency by the bucket load by Javier. We look back at the battle for 3rd place. Eric Mignon now up with Tom Fox, but a little bit of a gap stretching out there. And again, the same gap between Jay Elliott and George Turner as there was, but there's no pressure there from behind. Looking further back, we have Ollie Smith in 8th, Cameron Biggs there in 9th. With his teammates up in the lead, Cameron might have wanted a little bit more from the race, but 8th place, still good points for the team and driver. Peter Harris closing in now, only 4 seconds off Cameron, but that's probably a little bit too late. And Alex Wilmot in 10th. But we're just having a look at the leaders because we've got 25 seconds remaining. These guys will get another lap, but who else will? Toby comes out the final corner sideways. It's really pushing hard actually now. He crosses the line. Javier crosses the line. Will Tom Fox get another lap? Yes, he will, and Eric Mignon will, who's on there. So Jay Elliott gets another lap. just about. Will George Turner? George does get another lap, just about, and Ollie Smith's the first to finish in 7th. Cameron Briggs in 8th. Great drive by Peter Harris to move up into 9th place. There is Alex Wilmot, our race winner from Blue Moon, dropping down into 10th place. Not much progress there by Alex, and he'll be disappointed not to make more, but I think we missed a couple of incidents in that race for Alex. Here comes Harry Neal, who took a pit stop, one of only 2 cars to knowingly do so, and he comes across the line in 11th, and there is Tim Maragon getting out of the leader's way. Very well done by Tim. But it's Toby Nichols here who started this race near the back of the grid and has carved his way through into the lead and will be heading down towards the penultimate corner for the black team as he heads down in his Comedy Club car, Nissan GTI, heads into the final corner, and Toby Nichols has had a faultless drive here and claims victory, his 2nd win of the season, ahead of Javier, who takes yet another 2nd place. Tom Fox comes home 3rd, 4th for Eric Mignon, which must be a season's best result for Eric. Jay Elliott 5th, and 6th for George Turner, another season's best for him. And what a race that was. Anybody in the top 6 could have won that stages of the race. But it was Toby Nichols there in the Nissan GTR who takes the win for Dodge Coin Racing and plays himself nicely into this championship fight ahead of Javier and Tom Fox for Team Sonic. Those 3 dominating the podium yet again. But that is going to be the championship fight between Toby Nichols, Javier, Gusterini, Turner and Tom Fox. So I will just save that and we'll head to full race results just to have a look. We're past this lap, going to Jay Elliott from lap 6. Again, Jay just disappearing slightly in the second. I think there's just too many mistakes in that race for Jay, and dropping back in the second half of that race. But it was Toby Nichols who took the victory. 2nd place for Javier Turner, 3rd for Tom Fox, 4th for Eric Mignon. A great result for Eric, a confidence boosting result for Eric Mignon after starting on the front row and leading quite comfortably throughout some of the race, but looked confident in that car. Jay Elliott in 5th, and a great result but messy, I would say, for Jay. A few too many times running wide. George Turner, same as Eric, a confidence boosting. He looked confident and calm in that car while he was trying to battle with Jay Elliott. Ollie Smith in 9th in Mercedes, 10th for Cameron Biggs, 8th for Cameron Biggs in the Porsche. My apologies. Peter Harris, as we said, coming back to 9th. Alex Wilmot in 10th, and Harry Neal and Tim Maragon having a bit of a race to forget at the back, both needing to pit for Team Daniel App substitutes. So that was the 2nd week of racing here in the Clubman class. Some great racing throughout, especially around Blue Moon. How we kept up with any of that I will never know. But just having a look for the calendar for next week. Now next week gets very interesting with Sardegna B as our opening race in the Mazdas, and then the GR3 race is around Le Mans, one of the longest tracks on this circuit. And think about the long straights, and then you've got the Porsche curves. This is going to really warrant some consistency from the drivers throughout the lap. Obviously no qualifying for Le Mans. It will be a reverse grid, and it's certainly a race which I am really looking forward to. A great circuit with which I think many of us have driven a lot of the time. That will be week 3, and then week 4 will be Autodromo Maggiore and Interlagos to round out the season, as they do on the F1 calendar. So a great circuit to end this season at. But that will be the end of tonight's action. I thank you all for joining us. I think my driver of the day has to be in that race. I think I'd have to go for Eric Mignon in that race. It's tough between him and George Turner, I'd say, in that race. Both of them very consistent drives. But thank you all for joining us, and thank you for listening. If you enjoyed what racing you saw, please click like and the thumbs up below, and subscribe to the channel, ready for next week's action, which will be live here for Clubmans. Lobby 1 is over on the Double Dash Motorsport Media channel, so it'd be great for you to head over there and watch the action now this one's finished. I think they are still going. I will just actually have a look now and just see whether they are. I won't be surprised if they still are. They were a little bit behind due to a lobby issue. Yeah, they're still going. Currently it is, I think it's a reigning champion still leading, Ryan Sandell. No, it's Nathan Maximum from Ryan Sandell and Luke Battersby in that race. So if you head over now, it's just the final lap, so you can just catch that on the Double Dash Media's Motorsport Media channel with Andrew Maffer, your regular Club 100 commentator. But for now, until next week, stay safe, and I hope to see you all there. And if you haven't seen things like the O plate, head down the channel. You can see previous seasons racing, and we will see you there at 8:45 next week for those 2 races I just mentioned. And will anybody take control of this championship? Tom Fox, Toby Nichols, or Javier Turner, all involved in this fight, and one of them at some point is going to have to get a hand on it to make their final week just that little bit easier. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.